everybody. Are you cold today? No, it's okay. It will be hot. I'm really pleased to be here and moderate this round table on this crucial topic, building data and AI sovereignty in Europe. As president of the Paris Bar Association, I could see that AI for lawyers is a crucial issue, especially for smaller firms. Lawyers must adopt AI, and we did it. We did it with lots of partnerships. Our goal was very simple, to provide lawyers with AI tools that tailor to our profession and secure. But let's talk now. We have the chance to have this roundtable with François Sterin, Data4, Patrice Barbedette, EasyVista, and Paul Midy, who is deputy. And it's called then, to begin, could you briefly introduce yourself and your current work? Allez, Mr. Deputy, first.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with all of you guys today. Congratulations for the organizer and congratulations to all the Artefact team. So Paul Midy, I'm a member of parliament. My territory is Paris-Saclay, the innovative ecosystem of Paris-Saclay. I'm sure you know. If you don't know, you should. And before being a member of parliament, I was an entrepreneur in tech. Naturally, as an evidence, as a member of parliament, mostly focused, of course, on economy, but specifically on innovation and technology. Strong supporter of our entrepreneurs in France and Europe, and very happy to be here.
Thank you, Patrice.
Hello, happy to be here. Equally happy to be here with you and share the stage with you all. So I'm Patrice Barbedette, I'm the CEO of EasyVista. EasyVista, just to give you a few elements about it, we provide an AI-powered platform to help the Office of the CIO deliver everything from data center supervision up to digital workplace. About 500 employees, 30% of our business in the US, so we can be European or French and be successful in the US.
Hi everyone, so happy to be here as well. I won't repeat the thanks to all the organizers. I'm François Sterin, so I'm Chief Operating Officer at Data4. Data4 is, we build and operate data centers. We are a European champion made in France, and we like to say. We have 19 years old. We have 6 countries, we operate in 6 countries, 10 sites, very large data centers. We've secured the equivalent of 1.5 gigawatt of power to develop those data centers. And I'm proud to say we have the largest data center in France, very close to Saclay, actually, in Marcoussis, which was a former Alcatel site that we retrofitted to data centers.
Okay, difficult question. Sovereignty. The key is to keep our data in Europe, but is it possible? How can we ensure that it stays here and remain safe? Allez, Patrice.
So definitely I would agree that the key is not only to keep the data in Europe, but to keep all the intelligence and the use of the data in Europe. I think, for me, there is no fatality. We don't need to use US tech or China tech. We have all the tech, and this is a great example here. We have all the data centers and infrastructure. We have a full ecosystem with data management, with software vendors. And I think the reason why we should do it, talking about sovereignty, is that I was very happily hearing about listening to the head of public affairs of Airbus, and he said something very interesting 2 weeks ago. Watch who can pull the plug. How can you be sure you will not lose access to your data and your system? And frankly speaking, when you look at national security laws, I think it's better to keep everything in Europe, including at a software level.
Yeah, and I think this also means we need to build the infrastructure to follow that growth and to keep in Europe. I agree we need to go on the higher level of the stack, but we need to start by building the infrastructure. We often compare our mission as there's a kind of a technology race going on right now. And, it's a bit like building new networks, like building the new railway. It's a new industrial revolution. We often compare this to, when people were building trains and connecting cities and everything. And our job as data center builder and operator is actually to put the railways. That's our job. It's agnostic to who is going to use it above that. But without that, the trains stay at the station, basically. And to build a sovereignty and a sovereign cloud, you need also sovereign infrastructure, and it starts with sovereign location. And clearly, this is the minister said about massification, scaling up. The scaling up is very true. In our sectors, we need to multiply the capacity by a factor of 3 by 2030 if we want to stay in this race.
So, of course, I agree with all what you say. But let me take a step back, maybe 1 or 2 steps back, because, of course, being sovereign on data is not an objective in itself. The objective is to be able to have a sovereign AI and to have the best AI in the world. Why? Not just because it's fun and we like it for all the people that are here, I'm sure. For at least 2 reasons. First one, if you look at history, the countries that miss a technological revolution, 100% of the case, it's always end the same way. You get relatively poorer than the other countries that succeeded the technological revolution, and then you get invaded or subjugated. That's clear. And the second one, and I don't want this for France and for Europe, and the second one is, let's take an assumption. There may be a third world war. Maybe it has already begun. But the one who will win this war, or the one who will win the peace, are the ones that have the best AI. It's never the size of the army, the means of the army that are a factor of success to win the war. It's always the technological power. Do you have access to the best technology or not? So, and we see it already in the conflicts in Ukraine, in many other countries where there are conflicts with drones, with missiles, etc. The one who wins are the ones with the best AI. So we need to have the best AI. And to be able to have the best AI and a sovereign AI, we need to be sovereign on data.
Okay, but to have the best AI, but could we be ethic and have an ethic AI? Then my question is, how can we ensure our tools, software, infrastructure we use are really safe? Patrice.
Well, so first of all, I think there are a few key principles to ensure it's safe. So there are regulations, there are standards such as ISO, SOC. So I would say any player, and definitely when you're a player in Europe, I've been running a software business for about 20 years. And being a SOC certified or ISO certified is the basics. Then you need to be sure your organizations, and so if you're a customer of such an organization, is running the right governance, security process. I would not say it enough. Security is a 24/7 job. It's not something you define a process and then you can sleep on it. It's constantly, and we have teams in our organizations that do make sure that at any time we protect the data of our customers. And just without going into the Third World War yet, absolutely in agreement. The security is one of the key topics in terms of external intrusion from other countries, is to try within the systems to bring some either phishing or intrusion or hacking to destabilize. So definitely security and safety is a key topic.
Okay, François?
Yeah, absolutely. When you build a data center, security is the first service you're building, actually. To access the server, for instance, in our facility, you need to badge 6 or 7 times. So you have 6, 7 different layers of security, physical, logics, everything. So that's the main aspect of our physical deployment. One thing also that is very important to understand is we also have, so that was physical security, we have cyber security even for our own needs. Our building management systems that manage the infrastructure, the power, the energy, the cooling, that could be attacked by cyber attack. We have a specific different network from the rest of all the customer, and we have the same actually skills as deployed by Patrice to make sure that it's not just physical security, but it's also cyber security, both of them.
There are 2 scenarios. Either we let US and China innovate, with their ethics, and then we have to regulate to try to protect ourselves against different values that they could have. It's almost impossible. Look at the difficulty we have with social media today. Or there is another scenario, we innovate in France and in Europe. Let me take one example, very concrete for the link. I think this is the best protection for European citizens, that innovation is happening here. Let's take one example, intelligent cameras. So cameras with AI software within. If these cameras are built in US, a US developer will think, it would be super cool to be able to count black and white, to differentiate black and white. Normal, in US it's very normal to say this. So they would build natively those cameras so they are able to count black and whites. In France, in Europe, if those cameras are built in France, nobody would even think about it. So the best protection to ensure that what we built is coherent with our values, with our ethics, is to make sure it's happening here.
Okay. It's happening, understand. But my first question is for you, Mr. Deputy. Innovation versus regulation. Donc that's the point. You're French deputy, and we have always the same song that America, they helps and we regulate. What is your, because there's lots of entrepreneurs here, what is your answer to that? And after, I would like to have your point of view.
Very clear, we should innovate before we regulate. Very clear. So we already built the AI Act. I think it's good, it's enough. Let's not add more on top of this. Of course, we need to regulate. I'm sure there are so many people that want to regulate, that I have idea it will happen, and I have zero concern about it. I have concern about our ability to innovate at the level we should. So we need to be bigger, better than US and China. So we need to spend much more time on this than on regulation. And I say it as a regulator. I prefer to be jobless and make sure we have the right priorities.
So absolutely, regulation is just a driver of the market. The true topic is innovation. And yes, to answer your question, it is absolutely possible. If I take an example, Gartner, everybody knows Gartner is a kind of a trip advisor of the software industry or IT industry. And we are the only non-US vendor on the Magic Quadrant of Gartner for the last 15 years. So what it means is that first, it's majority of US vendors on the market, but it is possible to be amongst the best, even when you're French or European. The question is not the regulation, because I think it's right. The example you gave on the intelligent cameras is very spot on. But the real topic is very much about how much do we invest, not the state necessarily, not just the state, but the administration, the companies, and they think, where will I buy or from whom will I buy? I give you one statistic, which I think is very scary. I call it a scary fact. In Europe, we do invest 260 billion per year in tech, 280 billion per year in tech, and 260, i.e. 83% of the money spent by European companies and administration is given to US tech. One way to help without regulating is just to think when you acquire software, when you acquire workload in data centers, is just to think maybe first I should try to invest and put my money into a company, a provider that will bring back the money, by the way, through taxes, into the country or into the community. So I think that it's easy. Anybody can do it. It's just about having this extra thought when selecting a vendor or partner or provider.
François.
Yeah, I think we have an element around speed, and it's not just regulation, it's how we accelerate some of the permitting procedures to build the infrastructure that are needed. We've been able, as a country, to really fast-track a few things. I was here for the Olympics, watching fencing and everything, and I'm sure there was some fast-tracking to make this happen. So we need the same for the infrastructure, clearly. And then the second thing also in terms of innovation and regulation is maybe avoiding a bit more of the reporting we do. Because sometimes I feel we have a lot of things to report, lots of directive coming from Europe, from the local authority, etc. We spend a lot of time on that. And by the way, we're looking at AI to help us with that, to automate, to make this more productive. But we have a lot of constraint on us, on this, on reporting after the fact that prevent us to spend time on innovating, actually. So.
Okay, we have 10 minutes. My question is for you, François. We will talk about environmental concerns. As a data center builder, your work is compatible with environmental goals?
Yeah, I think so. I'm so glad you're asking this question because I got the
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah. No, I got the question recently, do we need to choose between AI and environment? By the way, we didn't get that question before the ChatGPT revolution. Everything was going pretty fine. We were able to, with the cloud and the migration to cloud, the data center consumption around the world was relatively stable. Obviously, with AI arriving, everything is out of the window, the data center consumption is going up, everybody thinks we are the villain in the room, consuming a lot of energy, consuming a lot of water, not creating a lot of jobs. So if I have 1 minute to demystify and do a bit of a myth-busting exercise here, first in terms of energy, we don't like to consume energy, so we consume as little as we can by doing energy efficiency program, being more efficient to cool the servers. Also to use low carbon energy, renewable energy. Here in France, we have the chance to have low carbon energy with nuclear. We just did a partnership with EDF on that. We use existing sites to do our data centers. I talk about 10 sites. 8 of them are former large industrial sites that we retrofitted, not putting any more artificialization. I don't know if this is an English word, but yeah. And so, and then the water, because it's a misconception that is for some reason right now very popular. It's like data center are consuming a lot of water. That is not true. We are like using closed loop. And for instance, for our largest data center in Marcoussis, which is we consume the equivalent of the daily consumption of 200 person in water for a site that is like consuming more than 150 megawatt and that is 20 hectares large in terms of, so it's like watering a football pitch just for that. So it's not a lot actually. So thanks for taking me a little bit of time because I think it's important also that you preach this data to the people you know because there's so many misconceptions about data centers.
Yes, of course, yes. Patrice, Paul, your position?
Well, I can just give a very simple example, and I think like many things in life, it's about personal values. So I've been running businesses leveraging data centers for the last 20 years. And very clearly when the topic of environment, sustainability came, even though it's true that data centers don't make big fumes in the sky and it's only invisible footprint, still, for us, what we made as a choice is at first we're going to consume only green electricity. And that's the thing that is, it's a decision. It costs a bit more money, but it's a decision. It's part of the values. And second, we do pay our developers, so they have their bonus on the efficiency of the code they deliver. So basically, they are fully incentivized to make sure that the code they deliver is efficient, i.e. consuming as little computing power as possible. So 2 very simple decisions that can be taken by any company, doesn't require any regulations, but just as a feeling as a CEO and a management team and the employees around me, we feel that's what we can do for this topic of sustainability.
Oh, it's good, Paul.
Of course, fully agree with what you said. I would add one point, is sometimes we missed a big part of the topic. The CO2, the carbon generated by digital sector, 80% of it's not data center. It's the manufacturing of phones and computer, 80%. So if you really want to have an impact on carbon generation, the first priority should be developing a second-hand market for phones and computer. So we need to help a very nice unicorn we have in France, Back Market, and we need to make sure that the second hand for phone and computer market is bigger than the first hand. Like we have for cars, for example. There are more second hand cars that are sold every year than first hand cars. So we need to first work on this, and after, of course, you mentioned all the things we should do to make sure that the data centers are low carbon.
Okay, I see the security in front of me. We have only 4 minutes. Alors, my question is for you, Paul. Innovation, public authorities. The state, is it a wheel driver or not?
Yes, I think so. We should do more, but I think we really need the state at national level and at European level too, because we need much more money. We need to invest much more money on AI. Private money and public money. Public money, it's a plan like France 2030. We need to go to the next step, do France 2050. We need to build France 2050 embedded in a Europe 2050 with 1,000 billion euro invested on new technologies and specifically AI. Today, it's 200 billion euro on AI at European level. We need to go way further. So it doesn't work without the state. Second one, for private money, is the same. The magic trick of Americans is not that they are better innovator or they have more risk taker. Mainly, they have much more money. They have pension funds. Why do they have pension funds? Because they have a capitalization pension system.
Well, François.
We need to go from a repartition system to a capitalization pension system. It's the magic trick for Americans. We won't make it if we don't have pension funds like US.
Yes, but I would like the answer from the private money.
Well, so I fully agree. I mean, it's a question, as I said earlier, it's a question of investment. Investing into European and French technology. We have the players, you have the vendors, you have the proof here. So let's look at China and the US. The first buyer, the first internal customer is a country. So they inject money not as a subsidy, but just in a fair competition amongst local players in China and the US. And through this, they make them bigger and bigger, and then they start attacking. So I think we should stop thinking that in Europe we are just a region of consumers where we consume workloads, technology, or whatever from the rest of the world. We should start acting as players, contributors, vendors. We have the technology to compete. And so that's where I'm expecting the state and the administration lead by the example and be the first procurement body towards French and European players.
François.
Yeah, we have the chance to be pretty well financed. We have announced here, actually in February, an investment plan of 15 billion euros in France by 2030. So the money is there. What we need, because right now there is a race, and actually something that is really important to mention, the bottleneck in this building the AI in terms of infrastructure is not the server, it's not the chips. NVIDIA has done some jobs and etc. It's actually the data center location. So there is a desperation in the market to find sites. And to accelerate sites, you need two things. It's true everywhere in the world, power and permits. So I know that there's been a lot of initiative, and we thank all those initiatives that started here in February about fast-tracking sites, the 35 sites, etc. So there's definitely a big political win now. Needs to be executed at all the levels. So from top to bottom, and there are a couple of them in France. Maybe we can discuss this, but then we can probably simplify the number of levels and have maybe like a more one-stop shopping task force kind of thing, where we can deploy the data center much quicker.
We have to conclude. We have 30 seconds to conclude.
Well, I would say sovereignty shouldn't be a slogan. Sovereignty should be a commitment.
I would say 60 years ago, General de Gaulle took a very important decision for France. Is make sure that France is part of the countries that have the nuclear bomb and then civil nuclear. Today, the decision of being the best on AI is the same decision with the same consequences. So let's do it.
Yeah, and on my side, I have one concern and one conviction. The concern is that, well, we don't build the railway fast enough, so we stay at the station and the other go. That's a real risk. And then with all the consequences you well described that I don't even want to think of. But my conviction is we have now everything we need to be successful.
I saw the police in front of me.
Yeah, just finishing.
Thank you, François. Thank you, Patrice,
very much.
Paul. Thank you for this summit. Et vive l'IA. Thank you.